You're scrolling through social media and you see someone you know posting about their amazing new job promotion. For just a split second, before you catch yourself, you feel disappointed. Maybe even a little satisfied when you remember they failed their last interview. Or maybe you felt that dark little thrill when a rude customer finally gets what's coming to them. That moment when karma strikes and you can't help but smile. If you've ever experienced these feelings, congratulations, you're human. But what you might not realize is that you've just experienced one of the most disturbing aspects of human psychology. Today, we're diving deep into the shadows of the human mind to understand why hurting others can feel so incredibly good. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll never look at human nature the same way again. Let's start with a question that might make you uncomfortable. Have you ever enjoyed someone else's pain? Before you say no, think about it honestly. Have you ever laughed at someone slipping on ice, felt satisfied when a bully got suspended, cheered when the villain in a movie gets their comeuppance? The truth is, humans are wired to derive pleasure from others' suffering under certain circumstances. This phenomenon has a name. It's called schadenfreude, a German word that literally means damaged joy. And it's far more common than most of us want to admit. Dr. Richard Smith, a psychologist at the University of Kentucky, spent over 2 decades studying this dark aspect of human nature. In 2013, his groundbreaking research revealed something chilling. Schadenfreude activates the same reward centers in our brain as eating chocolate or winning money. Think about that for a second. Your brain literally rewards you for enjoying someone else's misery with the same chemical cocktail it gives you for eating your favorite dessert. But here's where it gets even darker. Smith's research showed that we don't just experience schadenfreude randomly. We feel it most intensely toward people we perceive as threats, competitors, or those we believe deserve punishment. In other words, our capacity for cruelty isn't a bug in human programming. It's a feature. And this isn't some modern phenomenon caused by social media or reality TV. Archaeological evidence suggests humans have been engaging in ritualized cruelty for thousands of years. The Roman Colosseum wasn't built for gladiators to hug it out. It was designed to satisfy our deepest, darkest appetites. So what's actually happening in your brain when you feel that little spark of satisfaction watching someone else fail? The answer is both fascinating and terrifying. When we witness someone we dislike experiencing misfortune, our brains release a powerful cocktail of neurochemicals. First, there's dopamine, the same neurotransmitter involved in addiction. This creates that pleasurable feeling, that little hit of satisfaction. But it doesn't stop there. Our brains also release endorphins, natural opioids that make us feel good. And here's the kicker. They also suppress empathy. That's right. The very act of enjoying someone's pain literally makes us less capable of feeling sorry for them. Dr. Tanya Singer, a neuroscientist at the Max Planck Institute, conducted some of the most disturbing research in this field. In 2006, she put participants in MRI machines and showed them videos of people in pain. When the person in pain was someone they disliked, the empathy centers in their brains went dark. Instead, the reward centers lit up like a Christmas tree. But perhaps the most chilling discovery came from her follow-up study. She found that people who scored higher on measures of everyday sadism, those who admitted to enjoying others' pain, showed the strongest activation in these reward centers. They literally got more pleasure from others' suffering than the average person. And before you think, well, that's not me, consider this. Singer's research showed that even the most empathetic people still experienced some level of neural reward when watching disliked individuals suffer. The difference wasn't whether people experienced these feelings, but how much they experienced them. This means that lurking inside each of us is a capacity for cruelty that runs deeper than we want to admit. The question isn't whether you have this darkness, it's what you do with it. But why would evolution equip us with such a dark capacity? To understand this, we need to travel back thousands of years to our ancestral environment. Imagine you're living in a small tribe 50,000 years ago. Resources are scarce, and survival depends on your group's ability to compete with neighboring tribes. In this world, those who could effectively intimidate, punish, or eliminate threats had a massive survival advantage. Dr. David Buss, an evolutionary psychologist at the University of Texas, argues that our capacity for cruelty evolved as a social tool. Those who could strategically use aggression and derive satisfaction from dominating others were more likely to survive, reproduce, and pass on their genes. But here's where it gets really dark. Buss's research suggests that we didn't just evolve to be capable of cruelty, we evolved to enjoy it. The pleasure we get from others' pain served as psychological motivation to engage in behaviors that, while brutal, were adaptive in our ancestral environment. Consider this quote from Buss's 2005 book, The Murderer Next Door. The capacity for murder lurks within every human psyche, waiting for the right trigger, the right context, the right provocation. Now, before you panic, remember that just because we have these capacities doesn't mean we're destined to use them, but understanding that they exist is crucial for understanding human nature. Modern research has identified specific triggers that activate our cruel impulses. Social rejection, perceived injustice, threats to our status or resources, and even simple frustration can flip the switch from compassion to cruelty in a matter of seconds. The Stanford Prison Experiment, conducted by Philip Zimbardo in 1971, remains one of the most chilling demonstrations of how quickly ordinary people can become cruel. College students randomly assigned to play guards began psychologically torturing their peers within days. The experiment had to be stopped early because the guards were getting too much pleasure from their power. Zimbardo later wrote, "Evil is the exercise of power to intentionally harm others psychologically, to hurt people or destroy them mentally." But what made his experiment so disturbing wasn't the presence of evil. It was how much the participants seemed to enjoy it. Now let's dig into the specific mechanisms that make cruelty feel so good. Because once you understand these, you'll start recognizing them everywhere. The first mechanism is what psychologists call positive affect restoration. When we feel bad about ourselves, hurting someone else literally makes us feel better. It's like emotional theft. We steal someone else's dignity to boost our own self-worth. Dr. Roy Baumeister's research at Florida State University revealed something disturbing. People who had their self-esteem threatened were significantly more likely to act aggressively toward others. And here's the kicker. They reported feeling better afterward. Think about online trolling. Why do people spend hours crafting cruel comments to strangers? Because every angry response, every person they upset, gives them a little hit of power and control. They're literally feeding off others' emotional pain. The second mechanism is perceived justice. Our brains are wired to crave fairness, and when we see someone we believe deserves punishment getting hurt, it activates our reward centers. This is why revenge fantasies feel so satisfying, why we cheer when movie villains get what's coming to them. But here's where it gets complicated. Our sense of justice is heavily influenced by our biases. We're more likely to think someone deserves punishment if they're different from us, if they threaten our worldview, or if they have something we want. Dr. Kevin Carlsmith's research at Princeton showed that people who fantasized about revenge actually felt worse afterward when they got it. The anticipation of justice felt better than the reality. This suggests that our brains might be tricking us, promising satisfaction from cruelty that it can't actually deliver. The third mechanism is the most disturbing: empathic concern regulation. Some people have learned to literally turn off their empathy at will. They can flip a switch and stop feeling bad about others' pain, which removes the psychological barriers to cruelty. Neuroscientist James Fallon made a shocking discovery when he accidentally scanned his own brain while studying psychopaths. His brain showed the same patterns as the serial killers he was researching. But unlike them, he had learned to regulate his empathic responses through years of social conditioning. As Fallon wrote in his book, The Psychopath Inside, I am, by every measure, a successful, happy person. But I could have been a killer. Now, if humans have always had this capacity for cruelty, why does it feel like we're seeing more of it today? The answer lies in your pocket. Social media has created the perfect storm for our dark impulses. It provides anonymity, distance, and an endless supply of targets. But more importantly, it gamifies cruelty through likes, shares, and comments. Dr. Sherry Turkle at MIT has spent decades studying how technology affects human psychology. Her research reveals that online interactions can actually rewire our brains to be more cruel. When we don't see immediate emotional consequences of our actions, our empathy centers literally shrink. Think about cancel culture, cyberbullying, doxing. These aren't new forms of cruelty. They're ancient human behaviors amplified by modern technology. The person posting someone's personal information online is experiencing the same neural reward as a medieval villager throwing rotten tomatoes at someone in the stocks. But here's what's really disturbing. Social media doesn't just enable our cruel impulses, it rewards them. Controversial posts get more engagement. Outrage drives clicks. Mean comments get responses. The algorithms that govern our digital lives are literally feeding our darkest impulses. A 2018 study by researchers at NYU found that every moral outrage word in a social media post increased its likelihood of being shared by 20%. In other words, the angrier and more judgmental we are, the more viral we go. We've created a world where cruelty pays, where hurting others is not just psychologically rewarding, but socially and even financially profitable. And we're all participating in it, whether we realize it or not. So here we are, at the end of our journey into the darkness of human nature. And if you're feeling disturbed right now, that's exactly how you should feel. Because the most unsettling truth about cruelty isn't that monsters exist, it's that they look exactly like us. They have our faces, our voices, our rational justifications for irrational behavior. But here's what I want you to remember. Awareness is the first step toward change. Now that you understand these mechanisms, you can recognize them in yourself. You can catch that moment when someone's failure makes you smile, when you're about to post that cutting comment, when you're enjoying someone's pain a little too much. Dr. Paul Bloom, a psychologist at Yale, offers us hope. His research suggests that while empathy might be limited and biased, compassion, the deliberate choice to reduce suffering, can be cultivated and expanded. We can choose to be better than our programming. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, once wrote, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." So the next time you feel that dark little thrill when someone you dislike gets hurt, remember this video. Remember that you're feeling exactly what humans have felt for thousands of years. But also remember that you have a choice. You can feed the darkness, or you can starve it. You can be part of the problem or part of the solution. You can choose cruelty, or you can choose compassion. The capacity for both lies within each of us. The question isn't whether you have darkness, it's what you'll do with the light. The choice, as always, is yours. If this story left a mark on you, don't let it fade. Leave a comment and share it.
Subscribe.